the race for the White House. In just moments, the current U.S. president will debate the former U.S. president as their party's presumptive nominees, a first in American history. We want to welcome our viewers in the United States and around the world to our studios in Atlanta. This is the CNN presidential debate.
This debate is being produced by CNN and is coming to you live on CNN, CNN International, CNN.com, CNN Max, and CNN Espanol. This is a pivotal moment between President Joe Biden and former President Donald Trump in their rematch for the nation's highest office. Each will make his case to the American people with just over 4 months until Election Day. Good evening, I'm Dana Bash, anchor of CNN Inside Politics and co-anchor of State of the Union.
I'm Jake Tapper, anchor of CNN's The Lead and co-anchor of State of the Union. Dana and I will co-moderate this evening. Our job is to facilitate a debate between the two candidates tonight. Before we introduce them, we want to share the rules of the debate with the audience at home. Former President Trump will be on the left side of the screen. President Biden will be appearing on the right. A coin toss will determine their positions. Each candidate will have 2 minutes to answer a question and 1 minute each for responses and rebuttals. An additional minute for follow-up, clarification, or response is at the moderator's discretion.
When it's time for a candidate to speak, his microphone will be turned on and his opponent's microphone will be turned off. Should a candidate interrupt when his microphone is muted, he will be difficult to understand for viewers at home. At the end of the debate, each candidate will get 2 minutes for closing statements. There is no studio audience tonight. Pre-written notes, prompts, or contacts with campaign staff are not permitted during the debate. By accepting our invitation to debate, both candidates and their campaigns agreed to accept these rules.
Now, please welcome the 46th President of the United States, Joe Biden.
Joe Biden is taking the stage. Okay. Nothing special there. No crowd.
And please welcome the 46th
No cheering.
President of the United
This is
States,
about what you would
Donald
expect.
Trump.
Trump's walking in. All right. Welcome to the show. This show's a little different.
Gentlemen, thanks so much for being here. Let's begin the debate, and let's start with the issue that voters consistently say is their top concern.
Okay.
the
Question number
economy.
1. Let's see what's going on.
President Biden,
The economy.
inflation has slowed, but prices remain high. Since you took office, the price of essentials has increased.
Let me know who you guys
For
think is going to
example,
win the
basket
debate
of
tonight.
groceries that cost $100 then now cost more than $120. And typical home prices have jumped more than 30%. What do you say to voters who feel they are worse off under your presidency than they were under President Trump?
Okay.
Now take a look at what I was left when I became president. When Trump left me. We had an economy of
So Biden is doing what I expected. He's starting off by saying that the reason the economy is where it is because Trump left him in a bad spot. He's trying to get Trump mad.
For no jobs. Unemployment rate rose to 15%.
And we know that this is something that Biden was prepared to answer. So you got to figure he's memorized what he's saying right now.
We created 15,000 new jobs. We brought out a position where we have 800,000 new manufacturing jobs. But there's more to be done. There's more to be done. Working class people are still in trouble. I come from Scranton, Pennsylvania. I come from a household where the kitchen tables, things weren't able to be met during the month was a problem. The price of eggs, the price of gas, the price of housing, the price of a whole range of things. That's why I'm working so hard to make sure.
Biden's talking really fast.
And we're going to make sure that we reduce the price.
He's clearly got a strategy of overwhelming with his answer. He's getting a lot of points in 2 minutes, but it's kind of weird.
The corporate greed is the reason why we're in this problem right now. In addition to that, we're in a situation where if you had to take a look at all that was done in this administration, he didn't do much at all.
And he's attacking Trump again on the end of his answer.
A little bit of chaos. And so we put things back together.
We need to get a time clock up on a separate screen because I want to be able to see if people are really being held to the 2 minutes.
The $15 for the insulin shot as opposed to $400. No senior has to pay more than $200.
Okay. Can't do it for this first question. Didn't think about it.
Next year, the situation.
But we'll see how well the 2 minutes is being observed. by the moderators and by the candidates.
Thank you, President Trump.
Okay,
We have the greatest economy in the history of our country.
let's see what Trump's going to say.
Never done so well. Everybody.
He's talking about how good the economy was under him. Okay.
With COVID, and when we did, we spent the money necessary so we wouldn't end up in the Great Depression, the likes of which we had.
Trump's not speaking as quickly, and I'll admit, Trump's coming across more calmly, more natural.
Wars and so many other things. Everything was rocking good. But the thing we never got the credit for, and we should have, is getting us out of that COVID mess.
Okay, now he's going to COVID. Question's economy, and he's going to COVID. That's kind of weird.
A country where the stock market actually was higher than pre-COVID.
Okay, now he's talking about stock market, back on economy.
The only jobs he created were for illegal immigrants and bounce back jobs, a bounce back from the COVID. He has not done a good job. He's done a poor job.
That's why he went to COVID.
It is absolutely killing us.
Thank you, President Biden.
Well, look,
Huh.
the greatest economy
Trump didn't
in the world,
take 2 minutes.
he's the only one that thinks that, I think. I don't know anybody else that thinks that we have the greatest economy in the world. And,
Okay, so Biden's asking a question. Do you think that we had the greatest economy in the world under Trump? That's what Trump is saying. Biden disagrees.
Tax cut in American history, $2 trillion. He raised the deficit larger than any president has in any one term.
Okay.
He's the only president other than Herbert Hoover that lost more jobs than he had when he began, since Herbert Hoover. The idea that he did something.
He's saying Trump lost more jobs than he had when he began. That's true, but that's COVID related, so that's kind of misleading.
About that. When he was president, we were still found ourselves in a position where you had a notion that we were this safe country. The truth is, I'm the only president this century that doesn't have this decade, that doesn't have any troops dying anywhere in the world like he did.
Okay, now he's going to
I want to follow up.
troops.
You want
But that's not the economy.
Well, I'm going to ask you a follow-up. You can do whatever you want with the minute that we give you. I want to follow up. You want to impose a 10% tariff on all goods coming into the U.S. How will you ensure that that doesn't drive prices even higher?
It's not going to drive them higher. It's just going to cost countries that have been ripping us off for years, like China and many others, in all fairness to China. It's going to just force them to pay us a lot of money, reduce our
Okay,
deficit.
Trump's talking about a
and
tariff.
give us a lot of power for other things. But he made a statement. The only thing he was right about is I gave you the largest tax cut in history. I also gave you the largest regulation cut in history. That's why we had all these.
Trump seems a lot calmer in talking about the economy. But this is something that we knew Biden was going to struggle
He
on.
also said
I don't know that Biden can win on this
He
issue.
inherited almost no inflation, and it stayed that way for 14 months. And then it blew up under his leadership because they spent money like a bunch of people that didn't know what they were doing, and they don't know what they were doing. It was the worst, probably the worst administration in history. There's never been. And as far as Afghanistan is concerned, I was getting out of Afghanistan, but we were getting out with dignity, with strength, with power.
Okay, they're doing this weird war pivot. But Biden kind of started that, so it is weird.
Over the last 8 years, under both of your administrations, the national debt soared to record highs. And according to a new nonpartisan analysis, President Trump, your administration...
If you guys are watching the CNN stream, let me know who you think's doing a better job on the economy question. Right now, I'm going to kind of give the nod to Trump on this one. But it's hard for Biden to win this with prices where they are.
With the U.S. facing trillion-dollar deficits and record debt, why should top earners and corporations pay even less in taxes than they do now?
Because the tax cut spurred the greatest economy that we've ever seen just prior to COVID. And even after COVID, it was so strong that we were able to get through COVID much better than just about any other country. But we spurred, that tax spurred. Now, when we cut the taxes, as an example, the corporate tax was cut down to 21% from 39%, plus beyond that.
Trump's talking about the taxes. It makes sense. He's saying that giving companies tax breaks means that the companies give people jobs.
The country was going like never before, and we were ready to start paying down debt. We were ready to start using the liquid gold right under our feet, the oil and gas right under our feet. We were going to have something that nobody else has had. We got hit with COVID. We did a lot to fix it. I gave him an unbelievable situation with all of the therapeutics and all of the things that we came up with. We gave him something great.
Okay, Joe's kind of giving Trump a glare.
Under his administration.
I'm not sure if he was glaring because of that question or...
More people died under his
Oh yeah, Joe is
than our administration. And
reacting to, okay.
A lot of people don't like to talk.
It looks like Trump just said something that Joe wants to answer.
His administration,
He can't because of the format, but it looks like he's already,
the vaccine went out,
he's got a talking point that he wants to hit. So let's see what Joe's next response is.
About the vaccine, and he did a very poor job, just a very poor job. And I will tell you, not only poor there, but throughout the entire world, we're no longer respected as a country. They don't respect our leadership. They don't respect the United States anymore. We're like a third world nation.
Okay, this is,
Weaponization of his election, trying to go after his
this
political
format
opponent.
doesn't feel like I was expecting.
We've become like a third
I
world
thought it was
nation.
going to feel more
And it's a
clinical.
shame
It is
that
feeling
the
like a
average citizen
conversation.
of our country, and
I don't feel like candidates are being cut off.
millions of people to come in here from prisons, jails,
Trump is
and
coming across much more naturally than Joe.
and destroy our country.
President Trump, we will get to immigration later in this block.
But Trump is jumping to some different topics. Doesn't seem like as much of a problem now.
He had the largest national debt of
Okay.
any president.
Starting the clock. We're going to start timing these responses.
You've got $2 trillion tax cut benefit the very wealthy. Then what I'm going to do is fix the tax system. For example, we have 1,000 trillionaires in America, about
Okay.
billionaires in America. And what's happening? They're in a situation where they in fact pay 8.2% taxes. If they just paid 24%, 25%, either one of those numbers, they'd raise $500 billion, I should say, in a 10-year period. We'd be able to write
Okay.
off his debt.
Biden's kind of fumbling a bit. This is kind of weird.
Child care, elder care.
Biden's starting to fumble a bit on some of the numbers.
Our healthcare system.
Not because he doesn't, I don't think it's because he doesn't remember them. I think he's got too many numbers in his head. Because he's kind of
For what I've been able to do.
fumbling over, he's like, we got this many millionaires, I mean billionaires. We got, huh.
Everything we have to do is,
Ooh. Uh-oh.
if
Ooh.
finally beat Medicare,
Biden.
By President Trump.
Ooh. Biden just fumbled.
Medicare, he beat it to death, and he's destroying Medicare.
Biden just really fumbled on an issue. He looked confused.
They're putting them on Medicare, they're putting them on social.
I think he's got too many numbers in his head and he's trying to juggle too much stuff. Oh, forgot the clock. Okay, so that was about a minute. That was weird. Biden actually didn't look good when he was answering that question.
He will wipe out Medicare.
Okay. Biden's going to have to figure something out. Biden's not looking good
In the
on,
last 4 years.
his demeanor is kind of bad.
Foreign countries, I'm friends with a lot of people. They cannot believe what happened to
Okay.
the United States of America. We're no longer respected. They don't like us. We give them everything they want, and they think we're stupid.
From a
They think we're
presence
stupid people.
standpoint,
What we're doing for
Biden's
other countries,
presence is not
they
coming
think
across
for
as
us.
strong
What
as Trump.
This man has done is absolutely criminal.
And he's been doing a lot of rehearsing, and I think it might be
This is the first
biting him in the
presidential
butt.
election since the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade.
okay.
This morning, the court
Oh.
ruled on yet another
Roe v.
abortion,
Wade. Didn't expect that to come
temporarily
out.
allowing emergency abortions to continue in Idaho,
Let me bring that up on the
despite that
scoreboard.
state's restrictive ban. Former President Trump, you take credit for the decision to overturn Roe v. Wade, which returned the issue of abortion to the states.
Okay.
However, the federal
Roe
government
v.
still plays
Wade.
a role in whether or not women have access
Let's see
to abortion pills.
where this goes.
They're used in about 2/3 of all abortions. As president, would you block abortion medication?
First of all, the Supreme Court just
Starting the clock.
abortion bill, and I agree with their decision to have done that.
Okay.
I will not block it.
So
And
Trump's coming out.
look
Supreme
at
Court's the one who made the decision, not him, but he agrees with it.
Complex,
Okay.
not really complex. 51 years ago, you got Roe v. Wade, and everybody wanted to get it back to the states. Everybody, without exception. Democrats, Republicans, liberals, conservatives. Everybody wanted it back. Religious leaders. And what I did is I put 3 great Supreme
Dean
Court
Ferris.
justices on the court, and they have
Welcome to the show, Dean Ferris.
killing Roe v. Wade and moving it back.
Who do you
to
think
the
is
states.
winning the debate right now?
Now, 10 years ago or so.
Trump is coming across very naturally and very comfortable. Biden has seemed a bit confused about a couple of things. I think Biden has too many facts in his head, and he's trying to figure out what to focus on, but he's not doing a good job. It's kind of weird.
It was an end result that was a little bit more liberal than you would have thought. Kansas, I would say the same thing. Texas is different. Florida is different. But they're all making their own decisions right now.
Trump's
Right
got
now,
about
states control it. That's
50 seconds
like
left.
Ronald Reagan, I believe in the exceptions. I am a person that believes. And frankly, I think it's important to believe in the exceptions. Some people, you have to follow your heart. Some people don't believe in that. But I believe in the exceptions for rape, incest, and the life of the mother. I think it's very important. Some people don't. Follow your heart. But you have to get elected also. And because that has to do with other things. You got to get elected.
Trump is justifying his support of Roe v. Wade going back to the states.
In the 8th month, the 9th month, and even after birth. After birth, if you look at the former governor of Virginia, he was willing to do this. He said, we'll put the baby aside and we'll determine what we do with the baby, meaning we'll kill the baby. What happened is we brought it back to the states, and the country is now coming together on this issue.
3,
It's been a great
2,
thing.
1.
President Biden?
It's been
Huh.
a terrible thing.
Okay, Trump did it in 2 minutes.
The vast majority of constitutional scholars supported Roe when it was decided. Supported Roe.
Dean says, I feel Joe maybe has Alzheimer's. He's only coherent some of the time, unfortunately. I don't think he has Alzheimer's, but he doesn't come across as being clear sometimes. And that hurts him.
The idea that states are able to do this is a little like saying we're going to turn civil rights back to the states, but each state have a different rule. Look, there's so many young women who have been...
Biden is talking about how he's against the overturning of Roe v. Wade.
Went to the funeral. The idea that she was murdered by an immigrant coming in. They talk about that. But here's the deal. There's a lot of young women who are being raped by their in-laws, by their spouses, brothers and sisters, it's just ridiculous. And they can do nothing about it. And they try to arrest them when they cross state lines.
Thank you.
Oh, he only had a minute. Ooh, Biden's the first one to get cut off. Interesting.
Across our border. We have a border that's the most dangerous place anywhere in the world.
Who am I in favor of? I'm not. So I'm not really. I don't have an issue with Trump or Biden in general. I think they've got different strengths and weaknesses. Tonight I'm really just focused on who does the better job with the debate. And I try to keep it fair. Whoever does the better job, I want to acknowledge. I gotta say, right now, Trump's doing a better job in this interview than Biden is. And Biden is the first one who got cut off by the moderators.
Everybody wanted it brought back. Ronald Reagan wanted it brought back. He wasn't able to get it. Everybody wanted it brought back.
Trump's position, it's clear to understand. I mean, I know he's got about 12 seconds left. He's making his points well. Biden's got a lot of facts, but he's not necessarily making a point.
7 states, I'll let you do that, this is the same topic. 7 states have no legal restrictions on how far into a pregnancy a woman can obtain an abortion.
They're staying with Roe v. Wade.
Any legal limits on how late a woman should be able to terminate pregnancy?
I support Roe v. Wade, which had 3 trimesters.
Yeah, that's an easy question. That's an easy question for Biden. You know, like, what do you support? He's like, he supports Roe v. Wade.
The third time is between the doctor, between the woman and the state. The idea that the politicians, that the founders wanted the politicians to be the ones making decisions about women's health is ridiculous. That's the last. No politician should be making that decision. A doctor should be making those decisions. That's how it should be run. That's what you're going to do. And if I'm elected, I'm going to restore Roe v. Wade.
Okay.
Take the life of the baby.
Now here comes.
9th month and even after birth, because some states, Democrat run, take it after birth. Again, the former governor.
Now they're saying this. All right, they're doing this. Well, they're saying Roe v. Wade allows for terminations after the birth. I don't know that that's true. I mean, they're bringing this up, but I haven't heard of that.
That's simply not true.
Yeah.
The Roe v. Wade does not provide for that. That's not the circumstance. Only a woman's life is in danger, she's going to die. That's the only circumstance in which that can happen.
Okay.
But we are not for late-term abortion, period.
Biden is saying the only way a very late-term abortion happens is if it's for the wife, if the mother's life is in danger, then it's allowed.
We think the Democrats are the radicals, not the Republicans.
For 51 years, that was the law.
Okay, now it's getting weird.
scholarships.
They're not supposed to be able to go back and forth like
51
this.
years, and it was taken away because this guy was a very conservative member on the Supreme Court. He takes credit for taking it away.
Now, let me, I thought that Trump was going to be the one who came across angry and a little unfocused, but Biden's the one who's coming across a little angry and unfocused.
Universal ban on abortion, period, across the board. That's 6 weeks or 7 or 8 or 10 weeks, something very, very conservative. Is he going to sign that bill? I'll veto it. He'll sign it.
Thank you.
Let's turn on to the issue of immigration and border security.
Oh, Trump wanted to respond.
President Biden, a record number of migrants have illegally crossed.
Okay, now we're talking about.
Border
Ooh,
on everything.
shoot, let me start the clock.
He's the one that killed people with the bad water, including hundreds of thousands of people dying, and also killing our citizens.
Biden is really getting rattled by what Trump is saying.
In a rat's nest.
That's supposed to be Biden's strategy.
New York and California and every state in the union, because we don't have borders anymore.
Dean Ferris says, I appreciate you not having an unreasonable bias, though at this stage, who do you think will win?
Stupid policies. People are coming
I gotta tell you, Dean, that's the $1 million question right now.
We call it migrant crime.
This election is very close.
They're killing our citizens at a level that we've never seen.
I think that at the start of Biden's term, he had a huge advantage. I mean, he won the last election. He had about 300 electoral votes. Trump had 230. I think that over these last 4 years, Trump's been closing that gap. I don't know if he's fully closed the gap. Trump has to catch up to Biden because Biden's got a lead.
He just doesn't know. He opened the borders.
But over these last 4 years, I don't know. I think Trump. I'm not going to be surprised whoever wins.
Because they're going to destroy our country. Just take a look at where they're living.
If I'm going to make a call, I'm going to make a call on Biden.
New York City and other places. Our veterans are on the street.
But it's still going to come down to a couple of swing states and a couple of thousand votes. And I'm not that confident in my prediction. This could go either way.
I had the highest approval rating for veterans taking care of the VA. He has the worst.
I think Trump's got about 32 seconds left to respond.
All of the different things I approved, they abandoned. We had by far the highest, and now it's down.
But I've got to admit,
because he's done all these great things.
Trump, or if this debate can potentially influence some swing voters. Okay, Trump got cut, so I started my clock.
Every single thing he said is a lie. Every single one. For example, veterans are a hell of a lot better off if they pass the PACT Act.
Biden is saying that Trump's telling lies.
And their families have it because
Trump is staying very calm. And Biden has not been talking about Trump's conviction, which is what I was expecting by this point.
We're also in a situation where we have great respect for veterans. My son spent a year in Iraq. Later went next to one of those burn pits, came back with stage 4 glioblastoma. I was recently in France for D-Day, and I spoke all about those heroes that died.
Yeah, so Christian Rodriguez says, is this the live debate? Yes, it is. This is the live debate.
He was his 4-star general, and he told me, he said, I don't want to go in there because they're a bunch of losers and suckers. My son was not a loser, he was not a sucker. You're the sucker, you're the loser.
Biden is angry about.
First of all, that was a made-up quote, suckers and losers. They made it up. It was in a third-grade magazine that's failing, like many of these.
Okay, Trump is saying that the suckers and losers quote wasn't him.
People that said I didn't say it. And think of this. Who would say
That's
I'm
interesting.
in a cemetery or I'm talking about our veterans? Because nobody's taking better care. I'm so glad this came up and he brought it up. There's nobody that's taken better care of our soldiers than I have. To think that I would
Trump is saying that he's taking better care of the soldiers than everybody else.
People that said it was never said by me. It was made up by him, just like Russia.
Now that's interesting. The suckers and losers quote. Trump is saying he never said it. I've seen in print that people accused him of saying it, but I don't know that I've ever seen a YouTube video of him saying it. That's an easy thing to fact check.
It wasn't Russian disinformation.
I can pull up another.
The suckers and losers, so he should apologize to me right now.
4-star General Senator
Let me see if anything pops up.
Said you said it, period. That's number one. And number two, the idea that I have.
Biden is saying that a military general said that Trump said it.
More for veterans than any president has in American history. And they now are their family. The only sacred obligation we have as a country is to
I see it in print.
home and their families and equip them when they go to war.
I don't see a clip. See, I want a clip of Trump saying it, or not. You know, if they're, he's saying he didn't say it, and there's no clip of him saying it, so that's interesting.
I want to begin with Russia's war against Ukraine, which
Okay, now we're getting into the wars.
Former President Trump, Russian President Vladimir Putin says he'll only end.
Dean Ferries, yeah, you're right. I'm actually Australian, so I'm on the outside looking in. I feel Trump might be the best bet for your economy, though of course there are strengths and weaknesses, as you said.
Are Putin's terms acceptable to you?
First of all, our veterans and our soldiers can't stand this guy. They can't stand him. They think he's
Trump is saying the veterans hate Biden.
That's what you call that we've ever had. They can't stand him.
I think that Trump's got an advantage on the economy, but Trump does prioritize profits over things like the Paris Accord. So Trump's going to win on economy. I think Trump's going to win on borders. The question is, will Biden win on other issues?
You can double those numbers, maybe triple those numbers. He did nothing to stop it. In fact, I think he encouraged Russia from going in. I'll tell you what happened. He was so bad with Afghanistan. It was such a horrible embarrassment.
Okay, now Trump's jumping over to Afghanistan. Now, he was asked about Ukraine.
Watched that, and he saw the incompetence, and he should have fired those.
If I'm Biden, I'm going to focus on how Trump can't stay on topic.
But he should have fired those generals. No general got fired for the most embarrassing moment in the history of our country, Afghanistan, where we let billions of
Trump is way off topic on Afghanistan. Now, Biden should capitalize on this by getting the focus back on Ukraine. We'll see if he does. Biden really doesn't seem to be as focused as I was expecting. He's definitely trying to remain composed.
The difference is he never would have invaded Ukraine. Never. Just like Israel would have never been invaded in a million years by Hamas. You know why?
So I think Trump's making the case that because of what happened in Iran, Putin felt emboldened to go and invade Ukraine. So that's the link he's trying to make.
The whole world is blowing up under him.
President Biden?
Okay, let's get
I've
to...
heard so much malarkey in my whole life. Look, the fact of the matter is that we're in a situation where, let's take the last point first. Iran attacked American troops, caused brain damage for a number of these troops, and he did nothing about it. Not when he was president. They attacked.
Okay.
He said they're just having headaches. That's all it is.
He's saying that Trump didn't do anything to help troops
Number one.
with what they were suffering coming out of Iran.
100,000 Americans and others out of Afghanistan during that period. Number three, we found ourselves in a situation where, if you take a look at what Trump did in Ukraine,
Biden's kind of defending his...
do whatever you want.
I would approach the Iran thing entirely differently.
That's exactly what Trump did.
You can make it a numbers game. Like I pulled out, we lost some troops in an explosion in Afghanistan. But if you look at how many troops we would have lost if it took us longer to pull out, it's more than the few that we lost in the explosion. Doesn't justify it, but it does kind of put it in perspective.
They've lost thousands and thousands of troops.
Okay, so I guess this is one of Biden's long questions.
President Trump, I just come back to you for 1 minute. I just want to go back to my original question, which is...
They're not really sticking to the time limit. They're giving them some grace.
Keeping the territory in Ukraine.
No, they're not acceptable. But look,
Okay, so
this
Trump
is a
is...
war that never should have started. If we had a leader in this war, he led everybody along. He's given
Trump is... I'm assuming this is a follow-up, so Trump should only have a minute.
He's given $200
And Dean says, well, Trump is a friend of Putin, so he probably feels he should avoid that, as it's not doing him any favors. What do we have on that? Trump's financial records eventually got opened. What kind of dealings does he have with Russia? I'm not clear on what he's got there.
And we shouldn't be spending, it should have never happened. I will have that war settled between Putin and Zelensky as president-elect before I take office on January 20th. I'll have that war settled.
Trump is saying that he'll have the war settled before he gets sworn in.
Stupidly. And I will get it settled, and I'll get it settled fast before I take office.
He's saying before he takes office. Okay.
The fact is that Putin is a war criminal. He's killed...
Trump's having a pretty easy time.
Made 1% clear. He wants to
MTN meme says Trump's beating Joe and it's bad.
All of Ukraine. That's what he wants.
I kind of gotta agree with you. I really was expecting a different. I was expecting Joe to come out much differently tonight than he is. Trump's very comfortable. Joe does not look as comfortable. Trump is making points. Joe's giving data points.
All that money we give Ukraine for weapons we make here in the United States, we give them the weapons, not the money.
Trump is telling us what he's gonna do.
Produce as much
MTN says Joe falling asleep. No, I'm not gonna say that. I mean, Joe's clear.
Thank you. Moving on to
It's more just the way he's approaching the conversation. He wasn't ready. He's got too many facts in his head, and he's not clear on what he needs to explain to people. Okay, now we're getting to Hamas.
Created a humanitarian crisis in Gaza. President Biden
Dean Ferries, I think his whole purpose was to improve Russian-U.S. relations. Though of course there can be ulterior. I'm sure there are ulterior motives, and they're probably financial.
So what additional leverage will you use to get Hamas and Israel to end the war?
So what is Joe going to do to get Hamas and Israel to end the war?
The United Nations Security Council, straight through the G7 to the Israelis, and Netanyahu himself has endorsed the plan I put forward. Which has 3 stages to it. The first stage is to trade the hostages for a ceasefire. The second phase is a ceasefire with additional conditions. The third phase is the end of the war. The only one who wants the war to continue is Hamas.
Joe is explaining a 3-phase plan for ending the war.
Get them to accept. In the meantime, what's happened in Israel? We're trying to say the only thing I've denied Israel was 2,000-pound bombs. They don't work very well in populated areas. They kill a lot of innocent people. We're providing Israel with all the weapons they need and when they need them. And by the way,
he's talking about providing Israel weapons and limiting their larger yield bombs to minimize the collateral damage.
One Israeli was accidentally killed, and
Joe's got about a minute left.
We saved Israel. We are the biggest
support. Joe's going through too many details. If you want to know what Joe's doing to solve Israel, you're not going to walk away from this with here's what he's doing. There's way too many details in there. He needs to approach. He should be approaching it with, here's what I'm going to do. MTN means Joe stuttered like a bee. So you're right, but here's something I learned. Joe was a stutterer as a child. Joe has a stuttering problem. So when I hear him stutter, it's not. He's had a stuttering issue his whole life.
100 billion, or maybe more than that, less than us. Why doesn't he call them and say, you got to put up your money like I did with NATO? I got them to put up hundreds of billions of dollars. The Secretary General of NATO said Trump did the most incredible job I've ever seen.
What's Trump doing?
They were going out of business. We were spending almost 100% of the money was paid by us. He didn't do that. He's getting all. You got to ask these people to put up the money. We're over $100 billion more spent than it has.
NTN memes said, yeah, when he was a child. Yeah, he had a stuttering problem when he was a child. It was bad. I don't think the stuttering problem goes away. I think he just figured out ways to not stutter. He can still stutter, but he's figured out workarounds.
He's become like a Palestinian, but they don't like him because he's a very bad Palestinian. He's a weak one.
President Biden.
Trump has no issue with the clock. Okay.
This guy who wants to get out of NATO. You can say NATO. You're going to pull out of NATO. The idea that we have our strength lies in our lives.
Biden is talking about Trump wanting to get out of NATO. I understand why Biden's approaching it that way. Here's the thing. I don't think the average American voter cares whether we're in NATO or not, honestly. I think the average American cares more about what's going on with prices, what's going on with my ability to feed my family. If you're telling me you're working on the world stage, but it doesn't do anything to help me in my situation, I don't care. I think that's where the American voter is.
South Korea, because they understand that this kind of dislocation has a serious threat to the whole world peace. No major war.
Now Biden's doing better. Biden started out badly. And the first 10 minutes of this debate did not look good at all for Biden. I got worried about whether or not he was going to be able to make it through. He's getting better,
What
but
we have is that we spend all the money. So they kill us on trade. I make great trade deals with the European nations. Because
Trump's doing a better job on the debate right now.
Their economy is about the same size as the United States. And they will rent no cars, they don't want anything that we have. But we're supposed to take their cars, their food, their everything, their agriculture.
Trump is explaining things in ways that people can understand.
But the only thing I change is they don't want to pay. And the only reason that he can play games with NATO is because I got them to put up hundreds of billions of dollars. I said, and he's right about this, I said, no, I'm not going to support NATO if you don't pay. They asked me that question, would you guard us against Russia? At a very secret meeting.
Trump is changing the story around not wanting to be in NATO. He's saying he doesn't want to be in NATO if he's not getting the compensation that America deserves to be there. That's interesting. That's a different spin than he doesn't want to be in NATO.
Now we're in the same position. We're paying everybody's bills.
Let's turn to the issue of democracy. Former President Trump, I want to ask you about January 6, 2021.
Ooh, we're talking January 6th. That's interesting.
Some of them stormed the Capitol.
Let's see. This is one that Biden should win. This issue. Let's see if he does.
Preserve, protect, and defend, unquote, the Constitution. What do you say to voters who believe that you violated that oath through your actions and inactions?
Did Trump violate his oath?
Why do they too many believe that? And let me tell you about January 6th. On January 6th, we had a great border. Nobody coming through, very few.
Trump is pivoting. He's talking about the good things that were going on in America on January the 6th.
On January 6th, we were respected all over the world. All over the world we were respected. And then he comes in and we're now laughed at. We're like,
Trump basically ignored the issue.
What happened to the United States' reputation under this man's leadership is
Trump just pivoted. He didn't answer the question. He did something else.
Which I'm sure at some point you'll be talking about, where he goes his political opponent because he can't beat him fair and square.
Dean Ferry says otherwise it would be another Vietnam. What I mean by that is creating enemies over indiscriminate warfare and civilian casualties. Yes.
And worry that you'll do it again.
Well, I didn't say that to anybody. I said peacefully and patriotically.
Yep.
And Nancy Pelosi, if you just watch...
Trump's got his, he's doing the obvious, which is him saying he didn't tell people to storm the Capitol. That's true. He said go down there peacefully.
It's my responsibility. I was responsible for this. Because I offered her 10,000 soldiers or National Guard, and she turned them down. And the mayor, in writing, by the way, the mayor, in writing, turned it down, the mayor of D.C. They turned it down. I offered 10,000 because I could see.
Trump said he offered soldiers for more protection on January 6th, and it was refused.
They're going to be there on January 6th. They're going to be there. And I said, you know what?
That's a weird one, because you're saying you offered more protection, but at the same time you also told people to go peacefully protest.
And she now admits that she turned it down.
Biden should be able to have a slam dunk on January 6th. We're going to see how he responds. If Biden doesn't have a good response to this, Biden's not going to win this debate at all. Because this should be the easiest one for him to win. The easiest issue. Okay.
I sat in the dining room off the Oval Office. He sat there for 3 hours. 3 hours watching being begged by his vice president and a number of his colleagues on the Republican side as well to do something, to call for a stop, to end it. Instead, he talked about
Steve Holmes, Biden's been a disaster tonight. He's done.
In fact, he says he'll not forgive them for what
I got mixed opinions, Steve. Biden was a disaster in the first 10 minutes, for sure. That was kind of hard to watch. He's gotten a little better, but he's not showing up the way I thought he was. I thought he was going to be more buttoned up.
This guy is responsible for doing what was done. He didn't do a damn thing. And these people should be in jail. And they should be the ones that are being held accountable. And he wants to let them all out. And now he says that he loses again.
Biden's answer to January 6th.
Thank you, President Biden.
So, okay. Biden stuck to his minute.
Some people that are so innocent, you ought to be ashamed of yourself. What you have done, and you've destroyed the lives of so many people.
Trump is saying that some of the people who were locked up because of January 6th
many other cities, you go to Minnesota,
were innocent.
What they've done there with the fires all over the city. If I didn't bring in the National Guard,
I don't know. I mean, January 6th is tricky. people who went into the building and like stole pen holders, like they committed crimes.
I was all set to bring in the
And I do think you've got to discourage that.
coming and they left immediately. What he said about this whole subject is so off.
We're not getting to the heart of the issue.
The unselected committee,
Does
which is basically,
I would have turned this into, does Trump want to release every single person who was arrested on January 6th? Because some of those people are very bad people. And if he says he wants to release them all, well then he's saying he wants to release some monsters into the population.
they should go to jail for that. If a Republican did that,
That would be a loss.
Trump, President Biden, I want to give you a minute.
Okay, that's the first time Trump really got stopped by. Okay, Biden's finally bringing up the felon.
What he's telling you is simply not true.
Dean Ferris, you're a good man. I will watch more. You have my subscription, and I have to go now. Take care. Thank you, Dean Ferris. Yes. Click. Oh, what's going on with CNN? Oh, shoot, it's little pause at CNN. Please click like, click subscribe, and click the notification bell for more content.
Those people are patriots. Come on.
Biden is saying that the January 6th insurrectionists are not patriots.
I said we denounced the problem. He said no. I'll tell them to stand by.
That's tricky because some of them committed real crimes. Some of them didn't. Some of them just kind of walked into the building. I don't think you can throw them all into the same cart.
I'm going to give you a minute, President
Okay.
Trump, for a follow-up question I have. After a jury convicted you,
What's going on?
for a follow-up
Okay,
question
there we
I
go.
have, after a jury convicted you of 34 felonies last month, you
Finally
said
talking
you,
about the felonies.
would, quote, have every right to go after, unquote, your political opponents. You just talked about members of the select committee on January 6th going to jail. And your main political opponent is standing on stage with you tonight. Can you clarify exactly what it means about you feeling you have every right to go
What
after?
Trump is saying about people going to jail over his conviction.
Retribution is going to be success. We're going to make this country successful again, because right now it's a failing nation. My retribution is going to be success. But when he talks about a convicted felon, his son is a convicted felon.
Yeah.
At a very high level.
Trump is saying, okay, Trump's saying Biden's son is a convicted felon.
He should have been convicted before, but his Justice Department let the statute of limitations lapse on the most important things. But he could be a convicted felon as soon as he gets out of office. Joe could be a convicted felon with all of the things that he's done. He's done horrible things.
Joe hasn't done as much with the convicted felon angle as I thought. He hasn't done really anything with it. Joe is not approaching this conversation the way I thought he would. And it's not helping him.
That's quid pro quo. We're not going to do anything. We're not going to give you $1 billion unless you change your prosecutor having to do with the son. This man is a criminal. This man, you're lucky. You're lucky. I did nothing wrong. We have a system that was rigged and disgusting. I did nothing wrong.
Thank you, President Trump. President Biden, you have said...
Trump is handling the clock well.
You want to respond? Go ahead. I'll give you a minute to respond.
Okay.
Yeah,
Biden gets a minute to respond.
I did anything wrong relative to what you're talking about is outrageous.
Okay.
It's simply a lie, number one. Number two, the idea that you have a right to seek retribution against any American just because you're president.
Just dash the two cats. I'm voting for Trump hands down. Welcome to the show, Just Dash the Cats.
Number three, crime.
This is an interesting debate. I really thought Biden was going to come out hotter than he did. Trump is looking pretty comfortable here. Biden is not. And I thought it was going to be the other way around.
What are you talking about? You're the balls on alley cat.
He's attacking Trump on his... Okay. Ooh. Trump said he didn't sleep with Stormy Daniels. Now, I don't believe that.
High-ranking official at DOJ into the Manhattan DA's office.
That, yeah, I mean, I don't believe that one at all.
We had a very terrible judge, a horrible judge, Democrat. The prosecutor were all high-ranking Democrats, appointed people, and both the civil and the criminal. He basically went after his political opponent because he knew it was going to damage me. But when the public found out about these cases, because they understand them better than he does, he has no idea what these cases are. But when they found out about these cases, you know what they did? My poll numbers went up way up. You know that because you're reporting it. And we took in more money in the last
Trump is talking about how...
in the history of any campaign.
Well, he said he didn't sleep with Stormy Daniels, which I don't believe. But you know what? That's the way he's approaching that that specific accusation.
Political opponent because he can't win fair and
And he's
square.
talking about how
President
the
Biden, you have said, quote, Donald
prosecution
Trump
was politically
are
motivated.
determined to destroy American democracy. Do you believe that the tens of millions of Americans who are likely to vote for President Trump will be voting against American democracy?
The more they know about what he's done, yes. The more they know about what he's done.
That's an interesting question. They're asking Biden, are people who vote for Trump voting against American democracy?
I don't know what the juries will do, but I do know.
His answer was kind of weird because he's saying the more they know about what he's done, yes. I wouldn't have gone that way at all.
Never heard any president say that I thought he had some good ideas. What got me involved.
If I'm Biden, I would have said people misunderstand Trump's. I would have taken it that way. People misunderstand Trump's motivation, so they're voting for something that they think they're going to get when they're not. I think that'd be a better way for him to respond to that question.
And singing the same anti-Semitic file they sang when they were back in Germany. And the young woman got killed. I spoke to the mother, and they asked him. They said, "What do you think of those people? The ones who got killed, the one that tried to stop it, and the one who said, I think they're fine people on both sides." What American president would ever say? Nazis coming out of fields carrying.
Okay, now Biden is over a minute, but I don't know if this is being viewed as his question. He gets 2 minutes.
I'd like to know what they are.
Dakota Bledsoe, voting for Trump, absolutely. I think we got a lot of Trump supporters showing up tonight.
Totally wiped out because when you see the sentence, it said 100% exoneration of this. So he just keeps it going. He says he ran because of Charlottesville. He didn't run because of Charlottesville. He ran because it was his last chance. He's not equipped to be president. You know it, and I know it. It's ridiculous. We have a debate. We're trying to justify his presidency. His presidency is, without question, the worst presidency in the history of our country. We shouldn't be having a debate about it.
Voting for Trump, absolutely. Welcome to most of the nation, my friend.
And you'll see it.
Dakota, I got to tell you, I don't think it's going to be a landslide victory. I think it's going to be very close, just like last time. I think it's going to come down to a couple of swing states and a couple of thousand votes here or there. But we'll see. This is...
It happened.
Okay.
All you have to do is listen to what we said at the time. And the idea that somehow that's the only reason I ran. I ran because I was worried a guy like this guy could get elected. If he thought they were good people coming out of the forest, carrying those torches, and he didn't deserve to be president. Didn't deserve to be president at all.
Biden is going after Trump's character.
All this being fabricated. We saw with our own eyes. We saw what happened on January 6th. We saw the people breaking through windows. We saw people occupying his own vice president. Look, there's a reason why 40 of his 44 top cabinet officers refused to endorse him this time. It's vice president.
See, Biden has a very good point that he's trying to make, but he didn't make it well. He's saying 40 of 44 of Trump's cabinet members aren't endorsing him. But that's like way too complicated. If I was Biden, I would say, why is it that your own vice president's not endorsing? Biden is not handling his part of this well. Okay, CNN's on commercial break. So I'm curious. Let me know what you think. If we're looking at the debate, who do you think is doing a better job right now? I got to tell you, Trump is way more comfortable. He's handling the clock better. He's way more even keel. And I think he's giving points that people can understand walking away. I don't think Biden's doing a great job with this debate. And in the first 10 minutes, he had that moment where he looked kind of confused, which I don't think is going to serve him well. So it's going to be interesting. Now let me see what we've got here while we're on the break. You guys let me know who you think is ahead on this election right now. Dakota Bledsoe, I've seen the recent maps. Most places are red as hell. So if you look at a map, Dakota, what you'll see is, if you look at a map, most of the map is going to be red. That's like in every state, most of the map is red. The trick is, the areas that are blue are the big cities. So there are so many people in those blue areas that, like, the populations are almost even. You have a whole bunch of people in a few blue cities, and then a little bit of people in small towns all over the place. So yes, the maps show a lot of red, but it's really going to boil down to, yes, what Dakota Bledsoe is saying, which is the population density. And the population is really dense where it's blue. That's going to be the trick. Dano, Junkyard Dog, has joined the chat. Welcome back, Dano. We haven't chatted in a while. Dano says, has the felon told the truth even once? If he did, I did not hear it. Joe Biden has taken that approach to the debate, but I got to admit, it's not working. I think, look, Trump told a lie. He said he didn't sleep with Stormy Daniels. I don't believe that. But, that's his response to the whole hush money case, so it's interesting. Now, if that were true, which I don't believe, that would call into question the whole case. It's an interesting approach to the question, and of all the things that he's dealing with, I don't think he's going to lose much for that. But let me see. Dakota says, Dano, it's probably because, okay, yep, Dano, yep. Dano's going to stir the pot. Dano, it's probably because you're confused on what is and is not truth. Instead of objectively researching, you just believe what you hear respectfully. Then he got into the population density. Remember that. Dano, Bledsoe, I am one of the sheeple. The felon keeps milking. Ha. Yeah, okay. So, I already know. If you are a Republican, you are going to argue with Dano in the chat. That's pretty much a guarantee every night that there's a show. I appreciate people who come in and are opinionated. And that's part of the show. So, in this first segment, what Biden, I think, is going to be most remembered for is just having that moment where it feels like he kind of blanked out and he didn't really, I think he got stuck on what he wanted to say, but it just looked bad. It made him look confused. I think Trump's going to be attacked for the Stormy Daniels comment where he's saying he didn't sleep with her. But I don't think that's a big deal because he's handled other questions really well. Okay, we're back.
Under your presidency, black families still earn far less than white families. Black mothers are
okay, we're getting into racial disparity. I didn't expect that question to come up.
And black Americans are imprisoned at 5 times the rate of white Americans.
Dakota says it's all good. I leave it all to God. Biden or Trump is all in God's hands. Dakota Bledsoe agreed. I agree with that. Okay.
Fact of the matter is, more small black businesses that were started in any time in history. Number 2.
Okay, Biden is talking about black entrepreneurship.
Number 3, we're trying to provide housing for black Americans and dealing with the segregation that exists among these corporate corporations that collude to keep people out of their houses. And in addition to that, we find that the impact on the choice that black families have to make relative to child care is incredibly difficult.
See, the way Biden is doing this, he keeps going into a lot of details.
Child care costs are cut in half.
But you don't necessarily have a sound bite to take away. Like when they ask him a question, he gives you 15 different things he's doing. But if you want to walk away and say, what did Biden say he's going to do about this? You don't have that because he's giving you too many details. He needs to have like an idea. This is the idea for that question. That's it. Okay.
49 seconds left.
Yeah.
What do you say to black voters who are disappointed with the progress?
So they're giving it, that's weird. He answered the question. He did have 49 seconds left, and they said, "You use your 49 seconds." That's kind of a weird way to approach it. When he was done, they should have just ended that. I don't like that.
So they can get started and make sure that we're in a situation where all those black families and those black individuals who provided that they got student loans that were polluting and they were engaged in nursing, doctors, and anything having to do with volunteerism. If they paid their bills for 10 years, their student debt, all the rest is forgiven after 10 years. Millions of benefits from that.
Agreed. I did. God's. Let me see.
caused the inflation.
Dennis.
Blaming inflation, and he's right, this has been very bad. He caused the inflation, and it's killing black families and Hispanic families and just about
Okay,
everybody.
so Trump makes this about inflation's impact on
Anymore. They can't, you look at the cost of food. where it's
minorities.
Triple, quadruple, they can't live, they're not living anymore.
He's turning it into a bigger issue. This is about inflation.
A country with essentially no inflation.
He's not really answering the question about, the question was about
He destroyed it.
pay disparities.
Scam and all of the other, all this money that's being thrown out.
Trump turns it into a different question.
As sure as you're sitting there.
But it's easy to understand what Trump is saying.
That his big kill on the black people is the millions of people that he's allowed to come in through the border. They're taking black jobs now, and it could be 18, it could be 19, and even 20 million people. They're taking black jobs, and they're taking Hispanic jobs, and you haven't seen it yet, but you're going to see something that's going to be...
Trump is saying that the immigrants are coming in and taking
There
jobs.
was no inflation when I became president. You know why? The economy was flat on its back.
Okay.
50% unemployment. He decimated the economy.
Okay, now Biden's making an interesting point. He's saying that it wasn't inflation when he took office because the economy's in such a bad shape coming out of COVID. That's a good way to answer a question.
We made sure that they had health insurance. We had covered.
But he doesn't have Trump's charisma.
I made sure that the $8,000.
That's like the first really good point where I feel like Biden has had a better answer than Trump. And that's interesting because we're over halfway into this. That's the first time I feel like Biden has had an answer to something that would give him a bit of something in the win column. I think he needs to hit harder on that. I'm not really siding one way or the other, but right now it feels like Biden's been getting his butt kicked. So I was looking for this to be a more balanced conversation.
Thank you. Another persistent challenge is the climate crisis. 2023 was the hottest year in recorded history, and communities across the country.
Oh, we're talking about climate change.
Devastating effects of extreme heat, intensifying wildfires, stronger hurricanes, and rising.
2023 was the hottest year in recorded history?
To end your opponent's climate initiative.
I didn't know that.
Will you take any action as president to slow the
Okay,
climate
what are we going to do on climate change, Trump?
What he said about the police, how close the police are. Almost every police group in the nation from every
Trump's
state
going to something else.
Donald J. Trump. Almost every police group.
So Trump is ignoring the question.
The black population is horrible.
He's going back to the minorities. Biden needs to do more with that. He needs to do more with, see, he can't answer the question
Super president is his name. And he
because Trump is answering the questions he wants to, and it's working. Biden needs to figure out, he needs to do something about this.
Justice reform, and for the historically black colleges and universities, where I funded them and got them all funded, and the opportunity zones with Tim, as you know, Tim Scott was incredible. He did a great job, great senator from
Trump,
South
yeah.
Carolina.
Trump is navigating this pretty well. Dakota said, that was a man, friend. I know it's hard for you to tell the difference, but you might want to stop digging that hole. Dano, Dakota, that was 12 Americans speaking in unison. Some call that a miracle. Guilty. Dakota. Prices are generally needed goods and services to go up by. Prices of generally needed goods and services are going up by 20%, over 20% sometimes. It's interesting. Trump did not talk about climate change. They're bringing him back.
I want absolutely immaculate clean water, and I want absolutely clean air, and we had it. We had H2O.
Trump's talking clean water, clean air.
And we were using all forms of energy, all forms, everything. And yet, during my 4 years, I had the best environmental numbers ever.
Trump's saying he had great environmental numbers.
He gave me that statistic just before I walked on the stage, actually.
I don't know if that's true or false. I've never looked at it that way.
The idea he said is true. I passed the most extensive climate change legislation in history.
Okay.
We find ourselves, by the way.
Joe needs to go more negative on Trump. See, Trump goes very negative on Joe. Talks about Joe's failings.
Because they don't have the
Trump is listing a lot of things that Biden hasn't been able to accomplish. Biden's not really doing the same.
Any black student is capable of college and do what any white student can do. He doesn't have the money to now to be able to get those jobs in high tech. We're in a situation where the idea that he is claiming to have done something to have cleanest water. He hadn't done a damn thing for the environment. He, out of the Paris Peace Accord, the Climate Accord, I immediately joined it. With the
Okay.
1.5 degrees Celsius. And then
Trump said he had the cleanest water. Joe says he's lying, but he didn't explain how.
And he didn't do a damn thing about it. He wants to undo all that I've done.
The Paris Accord was gonna cost us $1 trillion, and China nothing, and Russia nothing.
See, Trump has easy responses. The Paris Accord was going to cost us $1 trillion. So it's easy to, whether you agree or not, it's easy to understand, oh, this is his problem with it.
Costing us money, nobody else was paying into it, and it was a disaster. But everything that he said...
Trump didn't say he was really going to do anything for the environment. He just said, he gave a couple of quotes. I had the cleanest water and the cleanest air. Well, he said the cleanest water and something else. Wasn't air. I don't know if that's true or not. But he's making a claim that I can understand.
And I want to take care of people. But we're destroying our country. They're taking over our schools, our hospitals, and they're going to be taking over Social Security.
He's going back to immigration.
Medicare and Medicaid.
Interesting. And he's...
The idea
This is so interesting.
in fact, if we were the only ones of consequence, we're not members of the Paris Accord.
Biden's talking about the Paris Accord. I don't think voters care about the Paris Accord.
One of the largest polluters in the world, number one. We're making significant progress by 20.
Dakota, friend on the video, didn't catch your name. I respect your objective observance of the debate. Good job. That's something we need more of. Yeah, so my name's Gene. I go by the Alaska Band in Jersey. Definitely click like and subscribe and the notification bell if you like the content. I try to take a look at things fairly. I'll admit, I thought that Biden was going to come out on fire on this debate, but that's not what I've seen. And I just try to give a fair assessment of what's going on. What I'm saying is Trump's got a better approach to handling these questions than Biden does. Trump's more comfortable in this format that I was expecting. And Biden's not. I thought Biden was going to be attacking him on some things, and he's just not doing it.
I made sure every company in the world, every pharmaceutical company.
Dakota, I just returned from Hong Kong where I got married, and my truck is barely 4 years old. My home is paid off. Why are you so poor today? Yeah, I'm not going to touch that. Dano said I can afford to give Gene a like, so I did. Thanks for the like, Dano. I appreciate that.
Their benefits cut in just over 10 years.
Okay.
Will you name tonight one specific step you're willing to take to keep Social Security solvent?
Yes.
Biden, what's one step you're going to do
Right now,
to keep Social Security solvent?
$1,000 means 6% of their income, of their paycheck, every single time they get a paycheck.
Biden needs to stop talking about numbers so much. He's going to make sure people pay 6%. They're under. He just needs to say, I'm going to charge more taxes to big corporations.
Millionaires pay 1%. 1%.
See, he's getting too much into the weeds. Millionaires do this, other people do. He's way too in the weeds.
After that, it began to make the wealthy begin to pay their fair share by increasing.
He's saying the wealthy will pay their fair share. That's a good talking point. But then he doesn't need to go into all the details
Are there any other
of
measures that you take
the math.
to be able
Okay.
to help keep Social Security
What else
solvent,
would he
or
do?
Just that one enough?
Well, no, that one enough will keep it solid, but the biggest thing he'll do is to defeat this man because he wants to get rid of Social Security. He thinks that there's plenty.
He said Trump wants to get rid of Social Security.
And Medicare.
That's an interesting quote. Trump has said that he would protect Social Security.
That he's not going to support.
I think Biden made a mistake right there because Trump's got an easy answer. Trump's got video. I've heard the video where he said he's going to protect Social Security.
By the way,
So you need to substantiate what you mean there.
greater healthcare coverage today than ever before.
That wasn't a good, yeah. He left himself vulnerable on that.
Circumstance where 400,000
Let's see. Dakota, I've been married 10 years, got 5 kids, and one on the way. Haven't been able to buy a house because since Biden has got in office, home prices have gone up by 50%. And me and my wife don't care. Yep. That's huge support for someone wanting to vote for Trump. to cut into your savings. We almost bought this year anyway, but we decided against it.
Thank you, President Vice President Trump.
So I've dealt with politicians all my life. I've been on this side of the equation for the last 8 years. I've never seen anybody lie like this guy. He lies. I've never seen.
Trump's just saying Biden's a liar.
So many other things too. And we mentioned the laptop. We mentioned Russia.
He's talking about the laptop, Russia.
Everything he does is a lie. It's misinformation and disinformation. The losers and suckers story that he made up is a total lie on the military.
He's saying losers and suckers is a lie. He's going back.
Security, he's destroying it because millions of people are pouring into our country and they're putting them onto Social Security. They're putting them.
He's saying that immigrants are being put on Social Security. I don't know if that's true.
Our citizens there, what they're doing to them.
I thought it was the opposite. They weren't getting Social Security, but they were putting into it. But Trump is saying no, they're getting Social Security benefits. I mean, if that's true, then that's horrendous.
I told you before. And by the way, when I said sucker and losers, he said he acknowledged after that he fired that general. That general got fired because he's the one that acknowledged that that's what he said. He was the one standing with Trump.
Okay, so a general who was standing with Trump when Trump called veterans suckers and losers got fired. So if I'm Biden, I'm immediately going to want to get that general to do a clip where he acknowledges, yeah, I was there and Trump said this. He needs to support that.
He talked about being phony. Those 15 Nobel laureates, economists, they all said that if Trump is reelected, we're likely to have a recession and inflation is going to increase and go up. And by the way,
okay. He's saying that we'll have a recession if Trump is elected.
The worst president in the history of the United States of America.
And he's saying that Trump's the worst president, but he doesn't make the point as emphatically as Trump does. That's interesting.
President Trump, both you and President Biden have tried to address this issue, but the
Biden can't win the inflation argument. Prices are higher right now than they were 4 years ago. So people aren't going to believe that Biden's going to do the better job with inflation.
Second term, what would you do to make child care more affordable?
Okay, what will Trump do for child care?
Just to go back, the general got fired because he was no good.
And Trump was going back and saying, here's why that general got fired.
19 people that said I didn't say it, and they're very highly respected, much more so than him.
Okay.
The other thing is,
Trump said the general got fired for incompetence. Now, general shouldn't be incompetent, but you know what? That doesn't mean they won't be.
I fired a lot of the top people at the FBI, Great Swamp. They were no good. Not easy to fire people. You pay a price for it, but they were no good. I inherited these people. I didn't put them there. Nobody called me there.
Trump said he inherited a lot of the people he had to fire.
He hasn't fired anybody. He never fired. He should have fired every military man that was involved with that Afghanistan.
Trump answers the questions he wants to answer. That's the thing that's lost in this format. They're not really holding people's feet to the fire about answering the questions that were asked. Now, I think that Biden could attack that. I thought Biden would attack that. I thought that was part of the strategy. But Trump is doing a good job of navigating and kind of saying, well, I'm going to answer this question I want to answer, that I have a good answer to, and I'm going to accuse Joe of some things that Joe doesn't seem to be able to defend.
He's the worst president. He just said about me because I said it. But look, he's the
yeah, this is an interesting outcome.
He's trying to get a little tough at the border. He came out with a nothing deal.
Dakota says, getting any woman to marry is a miracle. Again, I say congrats. Marriage is a beautiful thing. Dano, 30 years ago, I bought 2 acres in a crummy mobile home. 5 years later, I built a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. Got cut off. I did all that before Trump. Dakota, that supposed quote has been debunked. Look it up, friends. Okay. So we got people, yeah, we're saying it's debunked. I haven't seen video of that quote. I've seen it in print, but that's not Trump saying it. 30 years ago was a different beast altogether, a smaller, fluffier, cuter beast. Dano, it's unfortunate, but even working hard today, the wages don't measure up to the housing prices. Today, even if you make $77K a year, you can't afford a $370,000 house. $77K a year is an above average income. If you can't buy a $370,000 house, which is pretty average, on that salary, that does speak to
That's a story.
a need for a better economy. A guy who's earning more than average can't afford an average home. That's a problem.
All of American history. That's a fact. That's not
Okay.
conjecture. He can argue they're wrong, but that's what they voted.
Biden is saying that Trump has been voted the worst president in American history.
He did virtually nothing to child care. He should significantly increase the child care.
Okay, now this is a good thing that Biden's doing here. He's going back to the question of child care and saying that Trump didn't do anything. That would be a good way to get Trump to answer questions. Focus on the question and accuse Trump of failing to deliver.
Just so you understand,
Okay.
we have Poland, we have other things that they rate him the worst. Because what he's done.
And Trump is focusing on the ratings, the comparison.
And they rate me one of the best, okay? And if I'm given another.
Trump is saying he's been rated the best.
I think I'll be the best. Nobody's ever.
Trump's been rated the worst.
Created an economy like us, nobody ever cut taxes like us.
Trump's not answering the child care thing at all.
Raise your taxes like 4 times. He wants to raise everybody's taxes.
Talking about taxes. Trump has the points he wants to make. He doesn't care about the format. He's going to make the points he wants to.
4 to 5 times. Nobody ever heard of this before. All my life I grow up and I see politicians talking about cutting taxes. When we cut taxes, as I said, we did more business. Apple and all these companies, they were bringing money back into our country. The worst president in history by far, and everybody knows it.
President Biden?
Well, the fact of the matter is that
Okay. Trump is controlling the conversation.
He's increased the tariff. He will increase the taxes on middle-class people. I said I'd never raise taxes on anybody who makes less than $400,000. I didn't. These tariffs, 10% tariffs, everything coming in the country, you know what the economists say? That's going to cost the average American $2,500 a year more because they're going to have to pay the difference.
Biden is saying that
And all the things that we're reporting.
he's getting too much into the specifics. He's saying it's going to cost Americans on average $2,500 more a year for things under Trump than basically now.
Devastated by you. Now you want a new tax cut of $5 trillion over the next 10 years.
He needs to get away from the numbers and just talk about the big ideas.
We have the largest deficit of any president in American history, number one.
Okay, now he's hitting on Trump's got the largest deficit in history.
Any contact
That's a good point if you can build on it.
with China. We are the lowest trade deficit with China since 2010.
Thank you, President Biden.
Oh.
Thank you, President Biden.
Ooh, Biden ran out of time again. That's the second time he's been held. Nobody can say that the moderators aren't fair. Biden's been held to the clock more than Trump has. But Trump's managing the clock well.
Under your term, it went on.
Now we're getting into this whole opioid thing. Okay.
Former President Trump, despite the efforts of both
I don't think this is a very useful question. I don't think this is a question. It's not a voting issue.
What will you do to help Americans right now in the throes of addiction who are struggling to get the treatment they need?
To finish up, we now have the largest deficit in the history of our country under this guy.
Trump ignores the question about the opioids and goes back to the deficit.
Gets paid by China.
Trump just figured out he's going to use this time to answer what he wants to answer.
But you notice he never took out my tariffs.
Biden needs to hold his feet to the fire. Biden's going.
He never took them away. He can't because it's too much.
Biden's losing the first debate.
So we saved our steel industry.
For the second debate, Biden's going to need a big strategy change because the format should be the same. They're going to have to focus on how do you handle Trump when Trump's answering the questions he wants to, not the questions that are being asked. That's an excellent approach to this. Trump is talking about the things he wants to talk about.
Do what they're doing to us as a country. They are killing us as a country.
What do we have here?
You're destroying our country.
So for President Trump, you have 67 seconds. The question was,
My home and land I own, easy peasy. Dakota, we just decided it would be worth it right. It wouldn't be worth it right now, but I can say we have been extremely blessed. Haven't been hurt too much over the last 4 years, except the grocery bill. That's doubled.
In every way.
Even as a veteran, my interest rate is usually about 6.7. Wow, interest rates are at 6.7. We actually have lower taxes than our bluer neighbors. I live in a military town in the middle of nowhere. No matter where you go, houses are more expensive the closer you get to the city. Yep, I'm in the city. $5 if you sing Hotline Bling full song.
Outaways, they don't even talk about.
Why terrible? I'm not singing. Definitely not for $5.
And human trafficking.
But I don't even know what that song. I don't know what Hotline Bling is.
The worst thing I've ever seen, and numbers that nobody's ever seen under him because the border's so bad.
Trump's talking borders. Trump's not talking opioids.
The border now is the largest we've ever had by far.
President Trump, thank you. President Biden.
Fentanyl and byproducts fentanyl went down for a while.
Okay.
I wanted to make sure we use a machine that can detect fentanyl. These big machines.
Biden is getting back to the topic. But he needs to make this a question.
That was part of this.
Why can't Trump answer the question? That's what Biden hasn't done. And that's a big part of why Biden is not showing up well here. It's because Trump is running the show the way he wants to run the show.
And when we had that deal done, he called his Republican colleagues and said, don't do it. It's going to hurt me politically. But he never argued it's not a good bill. It's a really good bill. We need those machines. We need those machines.
Biden's he's talking about some machines to help with fentanyl. I don't know what the machines are.
And Mexico is working with us to make sure they don't have the technology.
This is too complicated.
That's what we have to do. We need.
I do think that Biden understands the complexity of the issues, and he knows what he's going to do, but he doesn't know how to explain it to a regular person so that it's simple.
Because this does pertain to it. He ended remain in Mexico. He ended catch and release. I made it catch and release in Mexico, not catch and release here. We had so many things that we had done.
Trump said he was going to talk about fentanyl, and he's not.
It's just like when you have a hostage. We always pay $6 billion.
He said he was going to talk about fentanyl, and he's still talking about immigration.
A Wall Street Journal reporter, I think a good guy, and he's over there because Putin is laughing at this guy, probably asking for billions of dollars for the reporter. I will have him out very quickly as soon as I take office. Before I take office, I said by literally.
So do we have Trump lied through his teeth about addiction in the U.S., then claimed he bought a dog to make the border safe. I'm recording this debate later, and we'll use Donnie's words to skewer the lying narcissist. Two things that Trump can be evaluated. He said he didn't sleep with Stormy Daniels, which I don't think anybody believes. He said he didn't call veterans suckers and losers. And I'm hearing that was debunked. I've never heard him say that on video, so I would want to know if there's video of that.
First of all, I spent
Ooh.
my career
This is a question. Biden's age.
politics. I was the second youngest person ever elected to the United States Senate.
Okay, he's talking about how he started out early.
A lot less confident.
That doesn't address your age now.
Look what I've done. Look how I've turned around a horrible situation you left me.
That's a real question. Talk about the age.
Manufacturing job, more investment in America.
Yeah, the way to respond to that is talk about what you're doing. Not how old you are. It's like, what have I gotten done? That's the issue.
By the way, we brought an awful lot of people. The whole idea of computer chips reached that 50% of the market. We invented those chips, and we lost it because he was sending people to find the cheapest jobs overseas and then bring home a profit. So I went to South Korea. I convinced Samsung.
Okay, Biden's hitting on the right stuff.
Guess what?
He's talking about what he's accomplished. So if the question is, are you too old to be president? We're saying, well, look at what I'm accomplishing. But he keeps getting into too much detail. He's in the weeds way too much. Okay, he's got about a minute left. Now let's see how Trump responds to this.
40 seconds left. Would you like to add anything?
He's got.
Yeah, I would.
Okay.
The idea that somehow
Why do they keep giving him it? Well, they're giving him his full 2 minutes, but I don't like that. If he's done at 60 seconds, 70 seconds, okay, switch. We didn't really talk about, I was looking at the 2 minutes as a cutoff, not as something to extend people to. It is what it is, but it's weird. I didn't foresee that.
And everybody trusts us, all of our allies, and our those who we call up to them. Kim Jong-un, we sent love letters to Putin, etc. They don't want to screw around with us.
I will say that Biden has.
Former President Trump, to follow up, you would be 82 at the end of.
Okay, now they're talking about Trump. Trump will be 82.
About your capabilities.
That's fair. What about his age?
both of
Okay.
them, as you know. We made it public. He took none. I'd like to see him take one, just one, a real easy one. Like go through the first 5 questions, he couldn't do it. But I took 2 cognitive tests. I took physical exams every year. And you know, we knock on wood wherever we may have wood, that I'm in very good health. I just won 2 club championships, not even senior. 2 regular club championships. To do that, you have to be quite smart.
Okay, he's talking about winning some golf tournaments.
He doesn't do it. He can't hit a ball 50 yards. He challenged me to a golf match. He can't hit a ball 50 yards. I think I'm in very good shape. I feel that I'm as in good a shape as I was 25, 30 years ago.
Trump's age is not really an issue,
But I'm in as good a shape as I
but
was
he's doing, okay.
years ago. I feel very good. I feel the same. But I was willing to take a
This is one that Trump
And you know
can't,
what? If I didn't do well,
Biden can't win this question, because Biden is older and
a great guy when he was White
he
House.
doesn't have the same vigor Trump does.
Similar one. And
It's a legitimate question. This needs to get answered.
Thank you. President Biden.
Okay?
You can see he is 6'5" and only 225 pounds, or 235 pounds.
Okay.
Well, you said 6'4", 200.
Oh, Biden's getting technical. He's like, you said you're 6'4", but you're 6'5". Nobody cares about that.
Look,
That's
I'd be happy to have a driving contest with him. I got my handicap, which when I was.
Biden is challenging Trump to a driving range contest.
But by the way,
I don't think Biden would win. Trump owns a golf course. I don't think Biden's going to beat him in a golf match.
He's a 6 handicap of all.
Okay, now they're not supposed to be going back and forth.
but I have, I mean,
I've seen you swing. I know you swing.
Say, let's-
They're not supposed to be, yeah.
President Trump, we're going to
21. Let's not act like children.
Yeah. Ooh, damn.
specific concern.
Trump just told Biden, let's not act like children. Ooh,
Tonight,
that's,
that once
ooh.
all legal challenges have been exhausted,
That was a great
that
soundbite.
will
Dang.
accept the results of this election, regardless of who wins. And you will say right now that political violence in any
Will
form
you
is
accept the
unacceptable.
results regardless of who wins?
I have to say that, but of course I believe that. It's totally unacceptable. And if you would see my statements that I made on Twitter at the time, and also my statement that I made in the Rose Garden, you would say it's one of the strongest statements you've ever seen. In addition to the speech I made in front of, I believe, the largest crowd I've ever spoken to, and I will tell you, nobody ever talks about that. They talk about a relatively small number of people that went to the Capitol, and in many cases were
Trump is
ushered in by
saying
the
he
police,
made
and as
strong
Nancy Pelosi
statements
said,
about the
it was her
election on
responsibility,
Twitter.
not mine. She said that loud and clear. But the answer is, if the election is fair, free, and I want that more than anybody. And I'll tell you something. I wish he was a great president, because I wouldn't be here right now. I'd be at one of my many places enjoying myself. I wouldn't be under indictment because I wouldn't have been his political opponent. Because he indicted me because I was his opponent. I wish he was a great president. I would rather have that. I wouldn't be here. I don't mind being here. The only reason I'm here is he's so bad as a president that I'm going to make America great again. We're going to make America great again. We're a failing nation right now. We're a seriously
Interesting.
failing nation. And we're a failing nation because of him. His policies are so bad. His military policies are insane.
Okay, what do we got going on? Dano is lighting up the chat.
He will drive us into World War III, and we're closer to World War III.
Oh, so you too good for $5? I never met someone too good for $5.
And he's driving us there.
No, that's just a matter of I'm not I'm not selling my dignity for $5. I'm not a good singer. I don't want to sing, so I'm not gonna do it. Definitely not for $5.
Nothing going with this gentleman.
Trump lied through his teeth about addiction in the U.S., then claimed he bought a dog to make the border safe. Oh yeah, we did those.
Do what you want, you know.
We took on Big Pharma and got insulin prices lowered across the board. Trump will lie more, that's what Donnie does. That is all that little Donnie does. When will Trump arrest Hillary, LOL?
I wouldn't trade places with the job I've done, what they've done. Because we are a powerful nation. We are wonderful. It's because of the people, not me. It's because of the American people. They're capable of anything. They step up.
Oh no, it's almost 10. I hope this debate has been flying by. I hope they don't shut it off
Again, you want to have a war.
in 3 minutes.
Let Putin go ahead and take Kyiv.
Because I don't feel like we've really gotten,
See what happens.
we haven't gotten into a lot of what I was hoping we could do.
Then you have
I wanted Trump to be able to ask Biden something directly and vice versa, and I wanted to see what they had to say
The
in
question was,
that
will you
style.
accept the results of this election, regardless of who wins?
Okay.
Yes, just to finish what he said, if I might, Russia, they took a lot of land from Bush. They took a lot of land from Obama and Biden. They took no land, nothing from Trump, nothing. He knew not to do it.
Trump is saying that Russia made their they made their gains under Obama and Biden, and that Russia didn't make any moves under Trump. I don't know if that's true, but there is the whole issue of Russia and NATO. Russia didn't want Ukraine in NATO, and apparently there were agreements for the Ukraine not to be part of NATO, but we weren't honoring those agreements, and that's part of what led to this.
It's so sad. They've lost so many people, and they've lost those gorgeous cities with the golden domes that are 1,000 years old, all because of him and stupid decisions. Russia would have never attacked.
President Trump, the question was, will you accept the results?
Okay, coming back to, will you accept the results?
If it's a fair and legal and good election, absolutely.
Trump is saying if it's legal and fair and good, he'll accept the results.
And everything else was ridiculous. And if you want, we'll have a news conference on it in a week. Or we'll have another one of these in a week. But I will absolutely, there's nothing I'd rather do. It would be much easier for me to do that than running again. I wasn't really going to run.
Trump was saying he wasn't going to run again, but Biden was so bad he had to. That's an interesting line. Trump has got very good sound bites tonight.
No political opponent stuff.
This is, I literally thought the roles were going to be reversed tonight. Trump is way more relaxed than Biden. Biden spent too much time rehearsing for this.
You're a whiner. When you lost the first time, you continued your appeal.
Okay, Biden saying Trump's a whiner because of all of the protesting he did when he lost the election. And now he's saying no courts acknowledged any of his appeals because there was no substantiation for them. Okay. And he's saying Trump won't accept the results if he loses.
We'll be right back.
Okay.
More from the CNN presidential debate live.
Okay, so now we're going back to commercial break. That's good, because I don't want... Yeah. Okay, let me see. What do we got in the chat? And for anyone who's new, yeah, click like, click subscribe, and click the notification bell so that as content comes out, you will be notified and you can join these lives. Let me catch up on the chat real quick. Trump lied through his teeth about addiction in the U.S. Oh, okay, I did that. Yeah. Let me see. Who took on Big Pharma? We did that. When will Trump arrest Hillary? Trump not responding to any direct questions. Jersey Mike. You're right, Jersey Mike. Trump is not answering the questions he's asked. And it's working for him. He goes to questions that he wants to answer and that he has good answers to. Now, I wasn't expecting that. I thought the format was going to hold their feet more to the fire about that. But I got to say, I fault Joe Biden for this. If I'm Joe Biden and I'm looking at what Trump is doing, I'm going to say, well, since Trump clearly can't answer the question, here's the issue and here's what he's failed to do. Trump is doing a very good job of saying, here's what Biden has failed to do. Biden is not doing as good a job with Trump. And some of it is Biden getting into the weeds. When Biden answers a question, he wants to give people all these details, and it's too much to try to process. He needs like a simple soundbite. This is what happened, and this is why, and then we can go. But he's trying to give more information than anybody needs, and it's hurting him. And oh yikes! Everybody, bear with me for 1 minute. My phone is getting low on charge, and so I need to go get my charger so that we don't lose our show. Back in a flash. Alright, gang, let me get my phone all plugged in so I don't lose my power. And we don't lose our show. Like and subscribe unless you support Putin. I'll just say like and subscribe if you like the content. There we go. Yeah, so I'm getting a data warning. What? I don't know why. It should be on my Wi-Fi. But oh well. So the first segment. Biden didn't look good in the first segment. He looked confused. He looked rattled. That first segment, I would say Trump won pretty handily. Second segment of the show, Biden's gotten a lot better. But the issue is, Trump is not answering the questions that are being asked. He's answering the questions he wants to answer. And it's a good tactic. It's looking really good. Biden doesn't really seem to be prepared to deal with that. Biden's clearly not confused, but he's not responding well. Okay.
We've made significant progress from the debacle that was left.
Okay, Biden's got closing statements.
Last term.
He gets to go first.
We find ourselves in a situation where, number one, we have to make
He's
sure.
basically saying Trump left him a mess.
I ask anyone out there in the audience, or anyone out watching this debate, do you think the tax system is fair? The fact is that
Biden is saying, is the tax system fair?
$400,000 had a single penny increase in the taxes. Well, not, and if I'm reelected, that'll be the case.
He's saying,
But this guy
if you make less than $400,000, you won't get your taxes increased.
He's increased inflation because of the debacle he left after the way he handled the pandemic. And
He's saying that inflation was bad under Trump because of COVID.
More, I put in a 10% tariff, but they're not going to the United States of America. What I did was, for example, he wants to get rid of the ability of Medicare for us to be able to negotiate drug prices with the big pharma companies. Well, guess what? We got it down to 15. It's going to be $35 for insulin.
He's talking about big pharma and managing costs,
for every senior.
but he's stumbling a bit because he's got too many details he's trying to explain. He's trying to get too much into the weeds.
By $160 billion over 10 years because the government doesn't.
Biden's clearly got a lot of numbers in his head that he wants to talk about. But it's not working to his benefit because it's making him seem a little confused because he's trying to remember what's the number to talk about here or there. There's just a lot, yeah. If I'm Biden's strategy team, for debate 2, I'm going to oversimplify the communication. This is way too complicated and it's too hard to keep all of that in your head. It's amazing that he can keep that many numbers in his head.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump, you now have 2 minutes for your closing statement.
Trump's closing
Like
statements.
so many politicians, this man is just a complainer.
Okay.
We want to do this, we want to do that, we want to get rid of this.
Bashing Biden.
But he doesn't do anything. He doesn't do all he.
He's saying that Biden complains,
by allowing millions
but
of
doesn't do
millions of
anything.
people for our military.
He's talking about the
disrespect
immigration.
like fools in Afghanistan. We didn't stop.
He's talking about
Israel. It was such a horrible thing that would have never happened.
talking about Gaza.
It was broke. Anybody that did business with Iran, including China, they couldn't do business.
Talking
with
about
the United
Iran?
States. They all passed. Iran was broke. They had no money for Hamas or Hezbollah, for terrorists, no money whatsoever. Again, Ukraine should have never happened. He talks about all the stuff, but he didn't do it.
He's saying Ukraine shouldn't have happened.
In hell. We have the Palestinians and we have everybody else rioting all over the place. You talk about Charlottesville.
See, this is a prime example of the difference in the way they're answering the questions. If you try to remember, like, what did Biden say? He said tax breaks, and other things, but it's so much of it was numbers. Like, you know, when you're trying to remember, it's like, okay, if I really stop. He said if you make $400,000 or less, then there won't be a 7% increase. You know, he's doing all of that stuff. But I don't want to have to hold all of that in my head. I want simple talking points. Trump's talking points are, Ukraine shouldn't have happened, this shouldn't have happened, I'll fix this, Biden screwed up that. It's easy to understand what he's saying.
When you're terminally ill, now you can go and you can get something. You sign a document. They've been trying to get it for 42 years. But you know what we did for the military was incredible. Choice for our soldiers. For our soldiers.
Oh, Emerald Saras. Welcome, Emerald. It's time to break the two-party system. I cannot vote for these two. They are both one and the same. Thank you for joining. I appreciate there are a lot of people who fall into that camp. George is saying Emerald, why not RFK? Emerald won, but what are they selling us?
Of this debate, Anderson Cooper and Aaron Burnett start now on CNN.
Okay. That was the debate. And I guess that CNN's going to do their post-debate analysis. So what do you guys think? Who do you think won? I'm calling round one for Trump. Trump had a much better approach. Yeah, I don't care what Anderson Cooper says. What Trump did that worked really well is he ignored the format. He played within the guidelines. I got 2 minutes to answer questions or 1 minute to respond. But he ignored the questions he was being asked. And he went off and he did the things that he answered the questions he wanted to. And that worked really well. It's going to be interesting to see what everybody has to say tomorrow about this. But yeah, round one, that was a great debate. Let's look for the post-debate analysis, and let's see how they change their approach for round two. My name's Gene. I'm the last good man in Jersey. If you like the content tonight, click like, click subscribe, click the notification bell so that you will be aware of the next episode, because I tend to just do these as pop-ups, and we'll go from there. If you're in the chat and you got an opinion about who you think won the election, definitely provide your perspective. Love to hear what people think. I know what I think. I share that. Let me see, we got one more comment, which is from Dan. Said, I will vote for President Biden for his accomplishments for and in behalf of freedom-loving Americans. Mostly my vote will be against Putin's puppet, the 34-time convicted felon. That does reflect a lot of opinions. I think this election is all about Trump. People who are voting Republican are voting for Trump. People who are voting Democrat are voting against Trump. That really seems to be what's happening. Question is, who's got more support? I think the election's close. About, if what I saw was right, roughly 95% of voters have already decided who they're voting for by this point. So with 5% of the vote kind of open, this debate was still important, because that 5%, well, that could be the difference between winning and losing. If we remember how close some of these states were in 2020, 5% one way or the other might be the few thousand votes you need to carry the state, like a Michigan or a Wisconsin, two states which I think are going to be called and which are going to tell us who won the 2024 election on election night. Feel free to tune in for more when we come back, and we're done.